6 Minutes Season 5. The Season of Unknowingness. The final chapter of the 6 Minute sequel.
There are kids in this world who are different. Special.
One of them found us.
And became family.
But her time ran out.
And now, that girl is missing.
In this episode, I'll be breaking down the latest episode, 6 Minutes Season 5, piece by piece. Hey, Review Pop listeners, it's Landon Mueller. We're here today talking about episode 12 of 6 Minutes Season 5, and I just want to start off with, this has been a great episode, I think, and, there's a lot of action packed around every corner, and I really love Monica here, and James, too. And I think there's a lot of excitement set up, and just a lot going on overall, right? I also love the dynamic, between Monica and James and kind of how that continues and they're able to work together towards the end of the episode. There's just a lot there, a lot of, great storytelling, and I'm excited for, just what's to come.
Yes, I made a very deliberate choice to walk a different path than he did, but I couldn't turn my back on this place entirely. Is everything all right?
Sorry.
Last week's cliffhanger was really exciting, We hear the name Dr. Whittier and our mind completely jumps to this place of, this old guy who kind of tortured the Anders family and made their life so difficult. I also am really intrigued in, her being a doctor, which we'll get into more. I also love just Monica's confusion in all of this, and it makes sense, but absolutely, it's really great. And, she kind of had mentioned that she's not at Whittier Corp often, and she likes to keep a low profile, so that's interesting. However, I'm really just interested to see her involvement in the rest of the season.
But I can promise you, the time we spent together back then completely changed my life. It changed everything.
I'm sorry, I am so lost.
Do you know what I do, Monica?
Well, you're a doctor, obviously.
I'm a pediatrician. Because of you.
Me?
This explains so much, and Dave has kind of been saying this on Rewind for a while, but it's also something I just really didn't expect, having 2025 be so different, but at the same time we have very important characters like Adelaide that remember everything. And yet it does make sense because, Adelaide doesn't really want to kind of explain what's going on, and, I can imagine she has, from what it seems like, a very busy and complicated life, but I really enjoy this, and I love her involvement here and her being, this mystery person that Monica is going to talk to, and I just, I think it's Monica being the inspiring person. I think it makes a lot of sense, right? Monica did really help Adelaide, and she was so kind and, really helped Adelaide kind of discover who her father really was and his intentions, and really well done.
Excuse me?
Cookies and cream. My favorite flavor. Ivan's, too.
Ivan? What does he have to do with any of this?
Good luck, my sweet friend.
Luck for what?
The holiday project.
This is what I was talking about in the intro of just the holiday project and cookies and cream, which as we know, is the access code for the entirety of the Whittier Corp building. And I think it's pretty safe to assume that, this holiday project is, Jude's interest in robots and, the project and the research he was doing on building bots from the 80s. Like we had in season 4, there was a tape of, him talking about his interests in bots and making human-like bots. I think that's super interesting, and it's scary at the same time, right? What is Whittier Corp doing with this holiday project? Or, is it something that's going on at Whittier Corp? And I think that's what makes season 5 so exciting, the possibility of so many storylines.
You're in your pajamas and slippers.
Cute, right? I couldn't sleep. Can we just go for a walk, please? I don't want to wake up the rest of your family.
And this can't wait until morning?
No.
Didn't think so. Lead the way.
Thank you.
This is also great. Brinley here, and kind of, her pajamas, which is super funny because it seems like, and I know this isn't really related to the clip, but it just made me think of it, kind of the love triangle that's being set up in 6 minutes of, like, Casey and Brinley and Cyrus, and, like, does Cyrus have to fall in love with Casey first, like he had originally done? I just think there was a lot there, and it's really exciting to have a love triangle again in 6 minutes, and it's something that has carried through the entirety of the show. And it definitely, like I said before, a very season 1 Brinley, but she seems a little bit nicer here, I'd say. She's still kind of that same person, but I definitely also sense a more season 1 Brinley.
Grab the sweatshirt.
Don't be a...
Pasternak came back to see Cyrus Anders. They're definitely onto something.
Do we really have to keep following them? Feels a little stalkery.
We have our orders from the Monarch.
Speaking
of which...
Oh, great.
The overnight crew will take it from here.
It's so true to Magnus's character and, them being in a van. And I also like how this, transitions here into Magnus, and it's kind of scary there for a brief second of, like, Magnus sounds very, very much so, the Magnus we've come to know, and his character has kind of remained the same. I really like that, and I just really enjoyed this scene overall, and Casey tries to defend the Anders and, doesn't really like what they're doing and kind of wants to speak out against it. I had kind of said in a previous episode, Casey's stance is very apparent. She doesn't like doing this, and she wants to protect Cyrus, but at the same time, like Magnus is saying, this is their orders, and, can they really go against that? I think that's just super perfect.
Where would you like to go, Dr. Anders?
Whoa.
Whoa!
Any ideas, James?
Well, our thermal imaging tech tells us there's a great deal of activity below Whittier Corp Tower.
You mean, like in the basement?
Way lower than that.
This clip is right after Monica had used the cookies and cream code name. I thought it was really well done. I also love the sound design of it all, and, being in the elevator, it's super exciting. And I also love Monica and James working together and, just really getting along super well. And, after that heartfelt, experience in the previous episode of them coming to terms, with just everything, I think it's super well done.
Open!
Someone was here.
I'll alert the Monarch.
Okay, so that was a perfect ending. I love the mention of the monarch and, Angelica Graves, and there's so much excitement and fury, and just everything there is so well done. And, Monica making this escape is also so great. Thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a 5-star review. Until next time, this is Landon saying peace, love, and time travel.